Police Chief Rick Hanson joining us here on the Breakfast Television set this morning. We're recording this in the morning, but of course we're going to put it up on social media. It's 24 hours after you told the city, the country, that you're retiring as Chief of Police in our city. How do you feel 24 hours later?
Well, I got to tell you, yesterday was tougher than I thought. It was really tougher than I thought. I was ready for go in there in front of everybody and say, hey, you know, I'm done, moving on. I thought it would be much easier, and it was way harder. I got to tell you, when people start asking questions about 40 years of all kinds of different things, it really hits you hard.
Yeah.
And you said to us earlier, you know, don't forget this is my second time doing this, but this is your first time retiring at this level.
Yeah. The last time I retired from the Calgary Police Service, it was to go to the RCMP, and so I was still in policing, you know, which is what I wanted to do. But this time, I mean, I even got one email from an very senior member of the organization who said, really, you know, seriously, it's about time, like 40 years, you know, like, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But there's one thing that I want to say this now, because I might forget it. Yeah. I was somebody here's first interview when they came to Calgary.
This is true.
And so one of the things I would like is on my last day, or is to have my last interview before I leave.
Oh,
there you go.
That would be, there's just a
little closure.
Yeah, there's just a certain symmetry about that, I think.
That would be really wonderful for us.
Well, it'd be great for me.
The closure coming from one door opens up many other doors. I have to ask you, are you running for politics? Is this in your future? What do you think? What do you see?
I'm looking at a bunch of different options, obviously. I mean, I'm too young to not do anything. Well, that's relative, right? I mean, I look at you two and think, oh, no, actually, you're kind of old. Maybe you should just find that rocking chair. But from my perspective, I have no intention of not working. I want to find something to do, but it's just different. And 40 years in a natural break was when my 40th anniversary was 3 weeks ago, 40 years on the job. But yeah, I've been thinking for a while now, is there something else I would like to do? I won't, what's this expression, don't ever say never?
Yeah.
So, you know what, there's been people that have contacted me about a number of things, even just in the last day or two, which is always nice, but I'm in no hurry to make a decision. I'll look at whatever's there. All I know is that I don't want to be one of those guys that finds a rocking chair, a porch, figures out which way the sunset is, and then just stare. Right? Yeah, that's exactly it.
We were talking earlier about your legacy, and I'm sure you know you're starting to look at that yourself. But one of those is community policing, and your passion for kind of the grassroots reach with CPS. Can you see yourself ever getting away from caring at that level?
No,
I can't.
No, you can't, because you know, you come on the job and it's all really clear. Everything's black and white. There's good guys and bad guys. Bad guys go to jail. Good guys, you do what you can to support them. And then as you spend time on the job and you start to realize how there's a funny thing that happens. People who are victims today, especially kids that are victimized, child abuse, sexual, physical, or they're in homes where there's family violence, they're cute as anything, or they're the victims, and they've got all kinds of resources, or they get all kinds of sympathy. And then as they get older, if you don't deal with them properly, they suddenly transition from being the victim to the perpetrator.
Oh, okay.
And then you look at them and go, you can't treat them like victims anymore, because now they're perpetrating the same crime on others. So there's got to be a better way to make sure that those young, at-risk kids can be properly dealt with and provided the services so they don't transition into the bad guy. And you know, it's not rocket science, to use an overly used expression. It's common sense. So if you really do want to reduce crime, invest in that end, and do what you can before those unaddressed issues of those young people suddenly result in more victimization, which creates potentially more bad guys down the road. So there's that transition that happens when you've been in policing for a few years, where you realize there's really bad people who are going to be bad, and that's all they want because that's who they are.
Yeah.
And then there's people who are victimized and either become addicts on the street, they can become alcoholics, they can become criminals themselves, or they can just not have a successful life. And you know what? If it's predictable, it's preventable, right?
You still sound incredibly passionate about this. Is this where you see yourself in the next 3-4 years doing something? I mean, we could say you could be social services minister in politics. I mean, putting that aside, would you stay in a role, coaching, mentoring people who are kind of doing this frontline stuff?
You know what? I don't think I have much of any wisdom to add to anybody or anything of value, because the folks that work in these fields, they're pretty smart people, you know, and they know what they need to do. And we've got a police service now that is really well balanced. We're really good at putting bad guys in jail. We have amazing and effective investigative capacity, and we have to retain that. You absolutely have to. But by the same token, we've got units that work really well in addressing these issues now. And we had another radicalization conference in West Winds just this week, just a small group of people, and BBC London sent 2 people.
Sure.
And they came and did some interviews, and then they came up and said, well, what are you guys doing about the intervention piece? So we talked for over an hour, great conversation. And you know, they asked, are you worried about those ones coming back from fighting overseas? What are they, you know, great conversation. At the end of it all, they said, listen, we got to tell you, we know what's going on in Europe. We know what's going on everywhere. There's nowhere that's doing the intervention piece like you are here in Calgary. And it's not just the police, but it's all of us working together. Nobody's doing it. And they said, frankly, it's the right way to do it. So, you know, the people that we have get it. The agencies we work with get it. We're doing some really good stuff here, and they don't need me, you know, working the levers of whatever to make it happen. It's just that it happens because there's good people here.
Well, be helpful if the government got it too, so maybe
Yeah.
you could add to that. So just over 2 weeks from now is your last day. So can we call it here? We will do your last interview as
Really?
police chief.
So you would do that?
Friday, March 13th.
Absolutely.
I would
Can
love
we
that.
do that?
I would absolutely love that.
Okay, so I'm going to leave this with you to think about, so I won't put you on the spot now, but ask you, and I know you don't like to talk about yourself, but I'll ask you to think about how you see your legacy, and then that'll be a question that we can ask
Definitely.
on your last day.
Okay,
Is that all right?
sure.
Thank
All
you.
right, I
Deal.
look forward to it, and I appreciate that, because like I say, yeah, you guys have always been great. I've always enjoyed coming and visiting. Everybody here has been fantastic, and you two most of all. It's always been a lot of fun, and you know, we've had some good discussions and good conversations, and I'll miss you guys.
We'll miss you too.
But I get to see you one more time.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See
Yeah,
you in
exactly.
a couple of weeks.
Perfect.
Police Chief Hanson, thank you.